Hey
Hey,
Ross.
how you doing?
Took a second there for us to go live. Um, Good to see you.
Yeah, how you doing?
Doing well, doing well.
I sound
Uh,
okay here?
yeah, sounds
Okay,
great. Sounds great.
great. I
I
got
still
only one earphone working, so I just want to make sure I'm not too loud to compensate.
no, you sound good. You sound good.
Cool.
Welcome anybody watching. I'm Nick Rishwain. I am the co-host of Social Chefs. Our main host, Christian Karasevich, will be here shortly. Just having a tech issue on his end as well, so he's rebooting and will be in shortly. And then he'll stream it over to Facebook as well. And joining us tonight is Ross Brand. Ross is the Gosh, there's so many things to say what you are, Ross. Now, he's the person behind Livestream Universe and the show Livestream Stars as well, and daily updates on what's happening in the live video community. Also an HR professional and soon to be speaker at Summit Live. What will you be speaking about this uh, at Summit Live while we're waiting for Christian to pop in?
That I can't go into yet, but
Oh,
as
okay.
soon as everything's worked out, we'll announce that. But yeah, I am going to be. Thanks for that nice intro, by the way, and thanks for having me. Yeah, I am going to be speaking at Summit Live, and I'm really excited to be going out there, and look forward to meeting you in person and so many other friends from live streaming and online that I'm going to meet for the first time. So it's going to be a fun event. And like you said, as far as what I'm doing, Livestream Universe is going to be doing 2 updates a week in January. So we're going to
Okay,
try 2 updates a week and try and get by trying to do 5 days a week and only focusing on that day's shows, sometimes they don't get out in time to get the very early morning shows on. So by doing 2 days a week and working a little bit in advance, hope to hit those morning shows and then have more time to just go live spontaneously like I did the other day, which was
cool.
fun.
That was fun, and that was an interesting little feature that you gave to us. And I just happened to be going out for lunch and was able to see BeLive.tv and able to see just how clean that process was. And I really liked the way that when somebody made a comment on Facebook Live, that it would show up in that lower third of your screen. That was pretty handy, and it seemed to be pretty rapid as well.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really nice, and I mean, it's just a click. Well, first of all, if you've been on Facebook Live, you know that the comments are a bit of a mess, right?
yeah.
Following the comments isn't easy, and then it's made harder by the fact that if you're using some type of platform, like you're going from Huzzah right now, as you are,
Hmm.
to Facebook Live, one of the problems that you encounter is that, oh, hey,
There's Christian.
Going on, guys? I'm sorry I'm late. I ran into some tech issues here.
hey,
Not a
Christian.
problem. Not a problem. I was just having Ross fill us in before we actually get started on the stories for today.
I was just to wrap up the thought. I was just saying that it's not that easy to follow the chat on Facebook when you're using another platform. But the great thing about that I found in testing Be Live TV yesterday, and I've seen other people do this, is that it integrates the chat, so you're right on top of it. There's about a 5-second delay instead of, say, a 30-second delay,
Yeah.
and like Nick said, you can just watch the chat within the Be Live interface and click on, highlight different comments, put them right up on the screen, practically in real time. So
Yeah,
it's
it
a
was
cool feature.
real quick, very quick. I was glad I happened to catch that while I was out at lunch and to see how clean that was.
Yeah.
So yeah, in fact, I shared the thing. I shared your feed with Christian because I thought it might be something we'd want to look at in the new year here.
Yeah, the next thing to do is I'm going to try out the interview. Like there's a separate for going live by yourself. It's called Q&A, and then there's an interview mode. So I'm looking forward to trying out the interview mode and thinking maybe that'll be what I use for interviews going forward. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
And you, right now, have you been using Blue Jeans recently?
I ever since Fire Talk switched its policies, and I didn't want to, sort of leave people behind who didn't have the access. I started using Blue Jeans, and it's very high quality. I have nothing bad to say about Blue Jeans, but it's just the immediacy of being able to follow that chat that
Right.
Live TV offers, and I don't feel distant from the chat. Like, oh, these people are over there on Facebook, and I'm over here.
Right.
I mean, you could say it's half mental, but it's just having that integrated chat is amazing.
I totally agree because I noticed it was much more advanced in the comments generally on Facebook live chat are just awful. And you end up shutting off your Facebook live because you think, well, nobody's there or nobody's talking, and
right.
And maybe somebody was there and you find out later. So it is a bit of a disaster. What Christian and I have been doing in this show is he follows the Huzza chat and I follow the Facebook live chat, but certainly some sort of integration where you more on that platform and seeing the chat in real time would be most efficient.
Yeah, I think it'd be fantastic. I mean, I haven't tried out Be Live yet. I did get an invite, by the way, Nick. I requested a beta. I got that today. I just haven't had time to play with it.
Sure.
So I definitely think, though, there needs to be some sort of integration because as we were just doing a minute ago, Ross, I'm over here trying to get the Facebook Live piece, up. And, it pulls up the stream and you guys probably heard a lot of background noise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's not like you can do that stuff ahead of time and then be like, oh, hey, push it live all at once.
Right.
So.
Well, Christian, shall we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight?
Absolutely. Let's get going. So I just want to welcome everyone. Or did you already do the welcome, Nick?
I did a welcome, but maybe you want to do a brief intro as to the new format that we're doing here that Ross was so grateful to participate in. We want to keep it within the hour because I know his time's precious, as all of ours is these days. But give us the new format, how it came to be.
What we're looking to do is, with social chatter, normally it would be just Nick and myself. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut down the number of topics so it's not too much information for people to take in. But what we're also going to do in lieu of that is we're going to work to bring on a special guest every single week. We have somebody on there, if they've got a background in a topic that we're going to be talking about, or, we love having them on, in Ross's case, I mean, he's very knowledgeable. He's extremely knowledgeable about live streaming. We love like just all of the knowledge he has, and he really gives back to people. So we wanted to have him on, to start the year off. So.
Absolutely. I couldn't think of
having me.
It's our pleasure. When we talked about having a third person on, I couldn't think of another person I'd rather have on the first show, who I've gotten to know through live video, who I just really appreciate. And I thought, well, let me see if he's free tonight. And it worked out.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, and Happy New Year, guys. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Try to keep it to an hour. We did, I think last week we got to an hour. This week, we started about 10 minutes late, but we'll try to keep it to an hour.
We'll crank it up. I'll try and keep us on track.
So let's get. And by the way, for those of you who want to follow Ross, for instance, if you want to send some tweets and whatnot during the show, you're at iRoss Brand, I think, right?
Yes.
So at iRoss Brand, I'm gonna put this in the chat for everybody. But Nick, you're at Nick J. Rishwain.
At Nick J. Rishwain.
Then I'm at Social Shifts. So,
okay.
So we'll get started here. Nick, what topics do we have for today?
Yeah, so topics starting. I'm just posting Ross's information over on Facebook. Our topics for today, starting with Snapchat machine learning and ad targeting. This is interesting for those who are interested in artificial intelligence and machine learning. And this is let me just finish posting this for Ross here.
I'll drop the link in for everybody, by the way.
I'm dropping the link into Facebook now as we speak. And this is interesting. We covered this topic before, Christian, slightly. There's been some new information that has come out since, but Snapchat's adding ways to optimize campaign performance for with the help of machine learning. So they're advertising campaigns, and what they're calling it is they've begun rolling out what they're calling goal-based bidding, which is available to marketers who are buying ads through their API. So it uses the machine learning to know which users are most likely to swipe on a certain type of ad. That way, we're not getting makeup ads in other things that we probably have no interest in. I haven't yet seen in my personal feed that the ads are really targeted towards me yet, but hopefully this will improve that. I've seen a lot of Louis Vuitton and Febreze ads that seem to be showing up. I mean, maybe those are targeted at me and I don't even know yet. But here's how it works. With the goal-based bidding, advertisers can inform Snapchat of what their main goal is. Is their main goal increasing the swipe ups, perhaps for app installs, web views, movie trailers, instead of solely concentrating on impressions. And this is out of Adweek. This article came from Adweek. So they can provide a value for how much they think a swipe is worth in auto-optimized bidding and delivery to target an audience that's likely to engage with that ad. So this is like stepping it up from the cost per impression basis. And I think it's interesting. They're, of course, claiming that this is improving view time on ads, and it's a 40% improved efficiency in their cost per swipe, which is what Snapchat refers to it as, because of course you're swiping in that rather than just impressions. And
so a swipe up isn't like a click through on another platform.
I feel like they have to. I feel like that's Snapchat's way of calling it a click through.
Okay, so the impression is you see it. If you swipe up, then you're like going for more information. You're
cost per swipe,
sort of like, if you see a link in a blog and you click through to read more about it. Okay, so that's where the retargeting's coming from, is finding those people who are indicating more interest by swiping up.
Yes, yep, that's what, but targeting it based on, all right, well, we know that Ross likes live streaming. He may be interested in the Insta360 camera. Let's target that ad to him and see if that improves the cost per swipe. So based on they're learning based on your behaviors, essentially.
Now, is it based on my behavior with ads, or is it based on all the content that I post? Because I don't know that the machines have a way to learn what's in videos yet, right?
Well,
like they can read text, but not videos, right?
I would say, like, the one thing about this that, like, I think to me really is a different take on the way that ads are, how most of the social networks are running ads, is that they're basically having where advertisers can let Snapchat know, like, when their goal, for instance, is like actually helping, for instance, in this case, give them more swipe ups. So instead of, like, being the opposite way, which is like, hey, we're automating everything and we're giving you X amount of impressions. Like, I like the fact that they're taking a different angle to really actually improve what's actually being done, like how effective your ads are. Because most of the networks, it's like, oh, hey, I had 10,000 impressions, 25,000, whatever. But in this case, they're actually getting feedback from their advertisers, which I think is really smart about this.
And they also, the advertisers are supposedly reporting that there's an improved view time, which I'll tell you, 90% of the time I'm out of an ad within a second or two. Now that may be. And I want to go back to Ross's comment on the video. Are they able to learn through video rather than through text? And I think they might learn based on who I'm viewing, Ross, because a friend of mine, Danielle, who likes luxury items, when her story ends, I get Louis Vuitton ads. So maybe they're targeting me based on who I'm watching. So, and they have discovered from whatever she posts about that they are having that she likes these luxury items. And all of a sudden, I get a Louis Vuitton.
I'm wondering if it's based on just what ads she's. Is it a swipe up or a swipe down? Swiping up on.
Swipe up.
Based on which ad she's swiping up on, because there just is such limited text in posts. Snapchat is pictures and it's it's video, and I just don't know where they're getting that data from. There aren't long bios and there aren't text posts. I guess they can get it from your messages. They can I assume they can read your messages.
And I think there's image recognition software that they're probably employing because they've got it just said further down, Snap, which is slowly debuting its camera-equipped spectacles across the country, has racked up nearly 50 patents in the past few years, according to CB Insights. Acquired 4 patents in 2016, and while it's nowhere near the 16 it received in 2015, likely to keep innovating next year. What are all these patents for? Things like facial and object recognition, acoustic fingerprinting, and real-time video calls.
And also to ramp it up in time for the IPO to make you think that that's really going to take off after the IPO, right?
I should hope so. I
think this is actually really smart of them to do this. I mean, some of the topics that we have today, for instance, we've got the thing with Facebook, with the subtitles feature, for instance. I think that Snapchat has to be able to, look at some of this because, if we know that little cat and mouse game that's kind of going on with them, Snapchat comes out with a feature, Facebook, very shortly implements it into their platform. Facebook comes out with something, Snapchat sort of borrows some of that stuff as well. So I would think that there's probably something going on behind the scenes where we're able to, to do that.
I agree. And so to wrap it up here, this topic, how would a business use this is how we usually try and tie it to what would a business do with this. I think for a business, I think you want to do, I think you want to just look at doing some ads on Snapchat, look into it, depending on your business, depending on where you're at. We have some folks in here, including Chris Bear, who have done some geo filters under certain locations, things like that. Those types of things you may want to look into. You may want to look into some paid ads and start slow. I always tell a business with any ads, Facebook, Instagram, or otherwise, to start slow, spend a few bucks and see how it works. I imagine those who are really getting the benefit of the machine learning are large brands who are spending or casting a really wide net. Any thoughts?
Anything you want to add, Ross?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's more of a question for you guys who use Snapchat more than I do. And I'm just wondering is the investment better in ads or is it better in creating branded content? Because it just occurred to me, okay, that's one way they can know based on what branded content you're clicking on. If you're clicking on ESPN versus clicking on a fashion conference or whatever, that's one way that they can help in targeting you as far as ad targeting goes. But I've seen some reports that people are starting to question the value of Snapchat ads. I know that might be the third rail we're not supposed to touch, but I'm just wondering maybe branded content that sort of entertains and isn't quite so in your face as an ad, it might be better, or people just passing through that stuff as well. Are you better off, creating content that gets in the stories? I don't know what do they call that section? It's not exactly stories, but you go over and you have all the different publishers and
the Discover section.
The Discover section, right? So, are you better off being in the Discovery rather than buying ads?
That's a great question. It may be beyond the topic tonight, but my personal feeling is that, and we covered this topic last week with Disney, who's going to start making Snapchat stories or Snapchat shows is what it was called. Now, we don't know where those will show up now, if they'll show up under Discovery or if you have to follow the Disney Channel in order to see that. But I think that the branded content for the type of user I am, I'm always going to go towards branded content as opposed to an ad. If I'm interested in the content, I'm going to watch it. Christian?
I think that I like the idea of the discovery piece. I mean, I think that that's important. I mean, I also look at it like this. I mean, if you're a really good storyteller, like, you shouldn't have to use the ads necessarily. Like, people want to go tune into your show. And by the way, that's kind of why we switched up our show, is that we were like, hey, you know what? If we want to broaden our audience, like, we have to actually, have other people on. We have to have a good story to tell. And I think that, for Snapchat, I mean, or any social network, it's all about your message, your story. Like, people want to come get that, so you shouldn't have to use the ads. I would look at the ads as almost like, hey, it's an add-on, it's a bonus if I want to actually reach more people beyond the scope of my current audience. You spend some money on ads, but I wouldn't say ads should be the first thing that people should do.
Right. I would look into it. I wouldn't necessarily spend on it right away.
Yeah, I think Facebook's probably still the better buy at this time as far as advertising and boosting posts and things like that.
It might be. Chris Bear in the sidebar, though, says geofilters and lenses are the new print ads. And I do think there is value in geofilters and lenses. I do think there's great value. I don't know, based on my own particular experience, and I'm in marketing, but I will click out of the vast majority of the ads that run after a story.
Right.
So, shall we get to our next topic today, guys?
Sounds good to me. What's the next one?
Next topic is we thought might be interesting, though maybe difficult for most businesses to employ, but the medical profession thinks differently. This is a doctor recently donned his Snapchat spectacles to record a surgical procedure to show his class. His medical school class. This doctor in London wanted to share a routine hernia operation with his students, but was aware that I guess having a large crowd in this operating room was not going to happen. So what he did is he purchased a pair of Snapchat spectacles, and he uploaded them automatically to Snapchat, and then later created a YouTube video out of it. And now there were some efficiency or technical issues with this, of course, because the specs only record in 10-second bursts. Well, you'd have to keep pressing the button on the side in order to get this while you're also trying to do this hernia. And he offered a short explanation of this. He said, it was actually the 10-second clips were not the problem, because he said it was like you were presenting a recipe, and so the breaks in between each clip were actually beneficial. So his hands were busy during the operation, so evidently he would have to tell his assistant, who would press, we want to record this. She would press the button, she or he would press the button, and he would record that while describing what he was doing in that particular part of the surgery. More than 200 medical students watched the tutorial in the 24 hours after the video landed on his Snapchat account, and thousands more people watched it on YouTube. So this is a tech-savvy doctor coming up with a great way to involve his students and educate his students on a routine hernia operation. So, thoughts on this? I understand that this is different than probably most of the businesses that we address on a daily basis, but the medical profession is using these tools as well.
I will say this. And you mind if I start on this, by the way?
Go for it.
So I think that like you have a pair of spectacles, I've got a pair of spectacles. I think this, I was actually really surprised that really one of the first like use cases that I've seen of spectacles was a doctor recording, showing a surgery, for instance. I think it actually is really smart the way they did this. I realize like there's certain logistics to having to click the button and whatnot. But for me at least, here's the thing. If somebody's not on Snapchat, I think this makes a lot of sense even have these, because you record 10-second clips and then you export these and put them on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And if you looked at the stats, I mean, I don't know how big this doctor's audience was, 200 medical students watched it. Great. But the fact that a lot of people saw it on YouTube, that's the part where I see there's a lot of value in this.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what type of business I'm in. I think this is a great use of spectacles.
And great repurposing of the content into, and promoting the content in another platform. I'm going to go over there now and see if I can, find out how many views the YouTube video has now had.
And by the way, I dropped the YouTube link in the description.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So and it is a little weird, how the video ends up being, round, and you have the background around it. But I think that's also, one, it brands it because people say, hey, that's Snapchat. That's from Spectacles, for instance. But I think also, though, the fact that you stitch them together and make a really long video, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and over 100,000 views. So it was 200 people in 24 hours, and then over 100,000 views now.
So Ross, what do you think?
Well, as a marketer or content creator, this doctor gets an A+, right? This was great, right? He got 100,000 views on YouTube. He's been featured all over the news. We're talking about him. He created content that was, new and different, and he's innovating. As a doctor, I don't know whether this is exactly prioritizing the patient versus having a camera that's off a little bit in a distance. And what I can only imagine, you're in the middle of surgery and somebody hits your glasses. The camera. Oops.
there are some logistical concerns.
But assuming that everything went off well with the surgery, it's obviously it's helping people learn in a different way what surgery is about and see something that they wouldn't have seen from a different viewpoint. I think the real bigger sort of impact is going to be in the virtual reality area with medicine, right? Where a doctor can almost experience what a surgery is going to be like before performing it. So that means that, he or she can be that much more precise, perhaps, or they can be ready for exactly what the challenges they're going to face are going to look like. And I say this as somebody with absolutely no medical knowledge, although I did stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Excellent.
But the other thing about virtual reality is you could actually be getting the information that, they look over at a monitor to read, or that somebody's telling them, and the doctor can actually see that perhaps in their field of view, right, with virtual reality while they're doing the surgery, and get that instant data or whatever. So that's, kind of what has me more excited than just sort of filming something in a different way. But as far as a live streamer, content creator, social video person, he gets an A+ on this one. This is definitely, he did a great job on this from that. And I hope, the patient was great and the patient consented and the surgery went well.
Yeah, I think there's definitely value there for, sorry, Christian, I think you probably had something. I just think there would be value for the students to be able to see that bird's eye view, what his hands are doing right then and there. Sorry, Christian.
I will say, so there's a couple of little logistical things, at least for me. Like, I love the idea of doing this, but I will say, having used Snapchat Spectacles, I was up in New York, for instance. It was fantastic using them with, I had gloves on, for instance. It was fantastic being able to just press a button, like a physical button, to record something. But I will say, I'm wondering, like, how much testing do they do with this? Because when you initially take a video, it's fairly low resolution. What happens if I don't know if you've used spectacles yet, Ross, but the way they work is it takes them low res. You open it up on your phone. You then make the spectacles a Bluetooth hotspot. Then you have to download the HD version as well to your device. So it's definitely not real time. I kind of wish it would be real time. It probably will at some point. But there's a lot of little logistical things there. And then the other thing I think I'm also kind of fascinated with is if somebody were to implement this into their medical practice, for instance, and whatnot. By the way, we don't give any advice on this. There's got to be some sort of like waiver probably associated with this. Hey, we're going to put you up on YouTube. We're going to put you up on Snapchat, like wherever they're going to use this video content. That's also, at least for me, really interesting, an interesting angle to have to look at.
Yeah, and for Nick, that gets into all sorts of, raises all sorts of legal issues and potential new areas for witness expertise, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think this is just a matter of informed consent beforehand. If you get them to consent and sign the waiver that they can use this, probably nobody wants their face videoed in that situation, but it's going to be hard to identify the insides where the hernia is at, so they probably wouldn't have a problem with that.
And based on what Christian said about the quality, certainly there can be a robot arm camera or something that could almost, with really sharp focus, give you practically the view, maybe not exactly the view, but so close that it's almost making you feel like you have the same view as the doctor, and could be positioned above and could record the whole thing, and you don't have to be pressing a button. And it's in much, much higher quality. Of course, you can take it in HD and all that kind of stuff. So whether this is kind of a novelty act or this is something that's really going to be used more within the medical profession, I guess, time will tell on that.
Time will tell. Yeah, time will tell. And I think the length of the video will have to probably improve for although he's saying that he liked it the way that it was. So it'll be interesting to see how it progresses.
So I want to add one other little thing, actually. Ross, you made a good point. Like, hey, is there like a robot or something with like a more advanced camera? There's plenty of companies, like Intuitive Surgical is actually one of the big companies that does, robotic surgery.
Right.
But also I'm actually wondering, was this just like a test? Because this doctor seems like really up on tech, because, it's saying, earlier this year, he used a 360-degree camera rig fixed above the operating table to capture the entirety of a cancer operation, capturing it in 4K and live streaming it globally.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I will say also, I'm very impressed with this guy and the fact that he can remain that calm under pressure. I mean, I understand, like, if you're doing like, something probably I don't know how simple a hernia is to perform, but when you get into like cancer, and things like that, I mean, those are, I love the idea of being able to stream that, but there's a lot you really have to take into consideration when you're doing that. So,
but it sounds like, from what you're saying, the one that we did in 4K, he wasn't involved in, physically having the camera on him or anybody touching him or being distracted. I mean, maybe part of it is just showing people what everyday people can do with this without expensive equipment. You can capture amazing things using the tools that everybody is going to have, whether it's your Snapchat glasses, whether it's your cell phone and all that. Right. Exactly. So, I mean, I did a feature on a company that was using smartphones to do remote diagnosis of forms of cancer where they didn't have doctors available to diagnose in, underserved places. And this is a couple of years ago now. So, I mean, they obviously, with the tools we have, we can do amazing things. And so maybe this part of it is just calling attention to it. Like, how can you maybe use this simple, inexpensive tool in your business, in your line of work? How can it give people a view or an understanding of what you do or what goes on in your workplace? And, maybe we think a little too deeply about, what the long-term impact is, but maybe that's the point. And maybe that's the takeaway, is like, boy, what can I capture with this, simple device? and get 100,000 people to watch and entertain people and inform them of what goes on in surgery that they wouldn't have seen otherwise.
And and I think you got me also thinking about those little like mini drones and whatnot. Like, I mean, why not just have like, honestly, why not have like a drone? Have like a, I don't know if they're like certified or whatever. Have like somebody who's a drone pilot in there as well, capturing some of this stuff on via video as well. I mean, but I love the idea the point you just made, which is like there's all this tech, and a lot of people. I mean, Nick, you and I talk about this all the time. A lot of people take tech and they barely scratch the surface on what these things can do.
Right.
And I think they mentioned in the article, $130 glasses. I mean, you can do a lot with these things. You're not just confined to,
making a standard Snapchat story.
Exactly right. You can do a ton of lots of really creative things with this. I think I'm trying to wrap this up as a business. I think personally that, if I'm a retail business, for instance, I could use this by recording, I probably look at it like this. I wouldn't use like the little 10-second clips, just put them on Snapchat. I would actually go take a bunch and stitch them together. I would go, for instance, in my business, give somebody a tour of the business. If I'm a department store, take a walk around the place, show people where different things are at, give them, an inside view. It's almost like creating like an interactive like map essentially of your store, or getting a personal shopper maybe.
Yeah. Lots you can do with it. And this is one really creative way to do it and educate at the same time. We should move on to our Facebook, our kind of dual Facebook story here tonight, because we probably want to wrap up the stories in the next 12 minutes so you can get to some tools, huh, Christian?
Definitely. What's the next topic?
So the next topic, it's sort of a two-parter.
Okay.
There are two different stories, but one is the Facebook's dedicated video tab, and the other part. Well, let's see. No, I'm sorry. We've got the Facebook ads automatic subtitling for Facebook page videos, and the second part of that is the Facebook call to action message. Did I get those correct? Did I screw up the
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the Facebook ads automatic subtitling for Facebook page videos, and I do not seem to have a link to this one, Christian.
And there's actually no link for this one
Okay.
because the way you get to this is you go to your Facebook page. And let's just give you a rundown first on what this is. Okay. So what we have going on is Facebook is, YouTube has this already, but they have now when people upload videos to their Facebook page, you have the ability to automatically generate subtitles / captions for your videos that you upload. You can also get, it's an SRT file as well if you have that, if you're using that, for instance, from YouTube and so forth. You can also automatically upload that yourself. You'd have to do all the transcribing and whatnot. But with this new feature, you can go to your Facebook page, go to any video that you uploaded, and there's an option under captioning where you can automatically generate the subtitles.
Okay.
Now,
excellent.
This is, I'm glad Facebook's rolling this out. I think that, as a feature, this is a very useful feature for anyone who's doing any sort of uploads of video to their Facebook page. And the reason
I think it's great.
So why do you think it's great? What's so great about this, by the way?
I'm thinking of those with eyesight issues that will be able to. So I can't watch the entire video, but now I can see the captions and the subtitles. Or you're in a place. How many times has this happened to you in live video where I'm out and about, but I want to look and see what somebody is doing on live video or what they've done on live video, and I can't open the file to see what they're discussing. But now if I have subtitles at the bottom, that would be quite helpful.
I think that's a great thing. Ross, what do you think?
I think it's great. I mean, one of the things that happens is unless you have some type of encoder software that you're using some app that allows you to put like lower thirds on and whatever, when a video starts to play and you don't have the audio on, how do you identify really what's going on, what they're talking about, what the topic is even? And this takes it a whole nother level further where you're able to entice people just by them seeing a few words coming across that are of interest of what you're saying, and then people can join. But like Nick says, I mean, how many times are you out there where you'd like to listen to something and you can't because you're in public? So you're sitting there and you're staring. Just, I want to hear this, but if I turn this up, they're going to throw me out of the library or whatever, right? So, you don't have your headset handy or, whatever. So, and obviously, if it's a show with some more off-color language or whatever, you don't have to worry about listening to it in public anymore. You can read along. It's also great for people who are hearing impaired. It just lets you reach a lot more people. Now, I noticed that, and I don't go live on my own personal profile. I usually go live on the Livestream Universe page, but I went live on my profile. And afterwards, I just hit the settings to see what was there. And there was like one of the things in the settings was like how I want the captions to display when they're there. I don't think that was for me being able to choose captions for my video. I think it was for me as a viewer, but I'm not positive. But either way, I think it's a plus, right? And as long as the user can turn it off or turn it on, it's a step forward. Now, it's not going to be 100% accurate, obviously, right? Translating and, translating in real time is, from machines, from human voice, there's going to be mistakes. It's going to be like, Siri getting your question wrong, right?
Right. You have an accent, you have a dialect, and, any certain way that you're speaking that's a little different than, a robot, basically. It's not necessarily going to pick that up. And I will attest. I mean, I do upload a lot of YouTube videos, and most of my videos I put captions and subtitles on, but I don't transcribe them myself. I have some people that do it for me. And I will say that, a lot of times, like I have to spell out certain things because I want, I've noticed the first couple times there were some errors and things.
Right.
So in this case, it's not going to be perfect. But the good thing is you can repurpose your file that you do. If you do one for like YouTube, for instance, you could, in essentially the same video, you could repurpose it on Facebook as well. So
that's true.
So now, does it just run as subtitles, or you get an actual text file that you can download separately and then use as like a transcript?
So the way it would work is it would basically put the caption over the video, basically.
Right.
So yeah, so it's going to do that. You're not going to get the file necessarily.
But that'll be when you download the video to repurpose it somewhere. If you have those captions on, those will be as part of the video recording that you get.
Well, for instance, usually it's not going to give you a file that you can actually repurpose. So I would look at it almost the opposite way, which is if I am going to be uploading, I know I'm going to do a series of videos. One's going to go up on YouTube. One's going to go up on Facebook. I would test out the Facebook auto caption generation or subtitle tool, see how accurate it is. If it's very accurate, you can literally just go in and copy and paste because you have the whole transcript right there for the different parts. Or if you want to go the other route, you could actually just get your stuff transcribed for YouTube specifically, and then just take the file and put it up on Facebook.
One thing I noticed that was interesting is it said that in the article that for advertisers, this had been available since April of 2016. And I had just figured that when I saw text on an ad, that's just, the ad agency, the ad company, whatever, that was part of their service so that when it starts playing with the volume off, I didn't realize that capability was there for certain advertisers to use already. But now I guess they're rolling it out to a lot more pages.
Yeah, Facebook rolls out a lot of stuff to a lot of different businesses at different times. They're not running the same stuff for everyone. So you may have certain companies that have features that other companies will never have, and that sort of stuff. So they do cater to them sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I turn on captions on all my YouTube videos. If I think I set the default so that it's always that way, right? So you can always get the caption if you want it. So that would probably be the next step if that isn't there already, which is you can just decide as you watch a video, I want the caption on, I don't want it on. And again, it's just another option that Facebook's doing, I think, to try and be a competitor for YouTube, not just for live video, which they're probably killing it versus YouTube on live video, but to also be a place where you upload, your archived videos and your pre-recorded videos and your recorded ads and things like that, your branded content, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely, you're absolutely right about that. The fact that they're trying to mimic those features, but I would also look at it like this. I mean, you all both made excellent points earlier about how if you're in a setting where like you can't watch a video because you don't have your headphones, you should be if I'm a business, I should be putting captions on every single video I do. Yep. I shouldn't don't do it as like an afterthought. It needs to be part of your checklist. Yep. And the reason why is because you don't know what types of viewers you're going to get. You're going to get people that are going to tune in. They're not going to watch they're not going to want the captions or the subtitles. But then you're going to have people that, hey, your video comes up, you seem to have a lot of views, you seem to have a really engaging channel. They're going to want your video, and then you could have in this case, if you have captions and subtitles, you can have different you can actually have different files as well that you upload, for instance, in a different language. So that way you're catering to a much broader audience, by taking your file and getting it transcribed, for instance. Now, the other thing you also asked about, Ross, which was like if you go to any video you've uploaded, whether it's a regular video, if it's a live video, every live video gets created as an archive, basically. So you can view a live video afterwards. If you go to any of those videos, if you click on that little settings gear that is there, it's actually going to bring up the video settings for your Facebook profile. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you personal settings. So you'll be able to do default quality of your video if you want SD or HD, auto playing of videos. You can also then have the always show captions option. You can turn that on or you can turn it off. And then there's also a captions display option as well. So if you find that it's hard for you to see on a dark background, maybe you want a lighter background because of your video, you can adjust the color on that page and the background opacity and the text color.
Right. And so I hate to cut you guys off here, but we do need to go on to the next topic here.
Okay.
We're getting close on time, and our next topic is the Facebook call to action message button. Now, this is pretty handy. Now, the example you have is one from Susie Nguyen, and if you can see this, it looks like what you can do is add your messenger link in there, or another call to action button like, hey, you should go and ask Christian about this. When I add a link in there, it would be a call to action for Christian Karasevich. Is that right? Am I reading that correctly in the image that you've shared?
Yeah. So basically the way it would work is if I'm in a comment and I want to, here's the thing. Like if we're, for instance, all in a conversation and I'm like, oh, hey, let me message Ross or let me message Nick about something, but because I don't want it to be public, I can click that message button. And if I have Messenger installed, it will launch the Messenger app at that point and theoretically open up a message to send, for instance, to Ross or to Nick.
Okay. It's handy.
It's a win. It's a win, right?
Yeah, I think that one's pretty simple. I think it's a great addition.
I think it's fantastic. I love the idea of doing this. I think that the message button needs to be. I like the fact that it encourages people to take things offline, but it also makes things more efficient for you.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, and then you go and you have the actual communication. What if you're selling something or selling a service or a good, you're actually communicating then with the potential customer.
And the other thing also about this whole message button, if you really kind of outline all the steps to things, let's not even get into outlining the steps. I mean, let's look at it like this. Like you just said, if you're selling something, what's typically going to happen? Somebody's going to have a conversation. You're going to have some chit chat back and forth. And then somebody along the way is going to drop in oh, hey, go check out my website. In the middle of this comment thread. Right. And what happens? It disturbs the comment thread.
Yep.
And in this case, if you have that message button there, I think it's going to be fantastic because it's going to actually, I think, help change user behavior. Encouraging less spam, for instance.
Right.
Encouraging people more to hey, take that offline and have that private conversation.
Have the private conversation. Yeah, I think it's a great addition.
Absolutely.
Are we seeing this? Have either of you seen it in your own feeds or in your own? I have not.
I didn't have it either yet.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it.
Okay, I have not seen it either. All right.
As everybody knows, by the way, Facebook is always testing features. So sometimes, a certain type of account will get it, and then other times you'll have people that don't get it.
And I don't know Susie Nguyen very well, but I believe she's either in New Zealand or Australia. So she may be out. She's outside the U.S., and sometimes they do some of the rollouts in different areas. So we may be seeing this later on. All right, Christian, I'm going to turn it over to you for you. He's our tool man, and he's got some tools for us to. He's always looking great tools that businesses can use.
By the way, how many tools? Let's before we get to that, like the buttons, the message button. I mean, if I'm a business, I don't know if this is going to tie into Facebook pages yet, but I think that if it does at some point, this is a great opportunity where, like, if I'm a business, and I always recommend this. It doesn't matter what if you have this now or you don't have this feature, but a lot of times when a problem goes on for a business, what ends up happening? They have all these conversations, and then everything is public, right? Like a customer's complaining and the business is like, oh, like, I'm sorry you felt that way. Like, it just escalates.
Right.
And if they add this button and then, filter everybody into Messenger, which is, their goal, you're going to want to use this as an opportunity to quickly take that conversation offline. Don't let it, persist there in the comments, because that can actually torpedo your business.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Because you don't ever reply more than once on the online, and then try and get it to email or direct message or something like that. But allow people to maybe no more than twice, and then allow people to see how that person acts, especially if it's a difficult issue or a difficult customer. Right. So
yeah, that's in Jay Bear's Hug Your Haters. No more than two says, back and forth with.
Yeah, he says twice. I think sometimes once is enough, and if they're not willing to communicate in a direct message or an email, then maybe you've done what you can do, as long as you were polite in.
Right.
All right, Christian, give us some tools.
How many tools you want? You want 2? You want 3? What do we want for tonight?
We got 7 minutes, so probably 2.
Okay, so let's do 2. I'll pick out probably the best ones. So I think the first one is a tool called Posyt. I think I'm saying this right, Posyt. And what this tool is, and I find it actually really, I think it's a good idea. So how many times, you guys watching, I mean, you have like an idea, you have this awesome idea, right? And you're like, well, hey, I don't know who I should connect with. What this app does is it's a way for you to share your idea. So you go share your idea in this app, and then you basically get recommendations from this company based on like who they think might be a relevant match for you based on the idea. So this way you can actually connect with those people, or find out, hey, I didn't know Ross was into, what's a hobby you like, Ross, for instance?
Let's go with live streaming.
Live streaming. For instance, I might be like, hey, I don't know, like, I've got this awesome idea for live streaming, but I don't know if it's already been done. I could put that question in there. If Ross is part of the community, hopefully, again, if there's a detailed profile with information telling me about live streaming, that it will connect me with him.
So would my profile be anonymous also until like we agree to? Is that?
So the idea is shared anonymously, and then they basically put it through some sort of advanced search engine or algorithm that they have. And at that point, it finds the people who are uniquely relevant. And then what they do at that point is, it's almost like, if you're like on Facebook, for instance, you get a, hey, we recommend you might want to connect with this friend, for instance.
Right.
Based on the content. So
okay.
Share a video, it pulls in like Tinder-esque things, swipe through the recommended ideas. So you share your idea, you swipe through the recommended ideas, and then recommendations are based on your idea, your location, past things that you've skipped, links, and so forth. And then when 2 ideas both link to each other, it says it's a match, and then you can chat with the people who write the ideas you match with.
Nice.
Interesting.
So, if I'm a business, I mean, I think this might be a good thing to test out, like a little sounding board in a way. I'm not sure if hey, is that idea going to fly? A lot of people don't have mentors, they don't have people that they really can reach out to a lot of times, and so this might be a good way to encourage people to do more of that.
Yeah. I like the sounding board idea. I think that's good. It's always good, especially for an entrepreneur who's working on something, and they don't have uh, a group of people that they work with that they can discuss it with. So what's our next, what's our final topic for tonight, or our final tool?
It's a tool called Rebrandly.
Okay.
And it's kind of neat. So, how many people have run into this issue? You go to share a website link, and it has this big ugly URL, for instance, or you put it through Bitly, for instance, and everything looks the same: bit.ly/some custom name or /some custom number. Well, what basically you can do with Rebrandly is you can create and share short links with your own custom domain.
Okay.
So basically it takes, a link, for instance, linkedin.com/pulse/some blog name, and it makes it, in this case, it could be about your business, your website URL with, a nice custom item on the end.
Okay. All right. So Ross could do a Livestream Uni, and it would shorten to his own live Uni or something like that with the custom URL.
Yep. You basically, you play within their system, but yeah, you get the ability to shorten the URL. The other thing is, this has been true for like Bitly URLs for a long time. Anybody who was shortening their URLs, there were certain URL shorteners that were actually more trusted than others.
Mm-hmm.
And, here's the thing. Everybody now is everybody knows Bitly, for instance.
Right.
So now this is a step beyond that. It lets me, really capitalize on my own branding as a business, have links that, tie back to my branding. So people aren't like, oh, well, you got that from this site or you got that from that site. Like it looks, like it shows like, hey, this business really knows what they're doing. I think it helps increase trust.
Yeah, I like that. Excellent. And that's just about it for tonight. We should have Ross tell us. Ross will be speaking at Summit Live. So Ross, you can't tell us what you're speaking about yet, I understand, but do you know the day that you'll be speaking there? And
it's going to be February 22nd to the 24th in LA at the Biltmore LA Hotel.
Okay, and that's and people can find out more about your. I think the agenda is a little light right now. I think they're refining it on the website, but you can find out more at summit.live. That's the website.
Yes, and there's going to be a lot of great speakers, a lot of people that you've probably followed and so forth in the live streaming field and social video and VR. But there's also going to be media members, and there's going to be all brands, and the chance to see really what the latest in tech and disruption and video is coming up. So it should be a great event. And if you want to attend, I think by tomorrow, by the end of the day, I should have a 20% off discount code. So reach out to me by tomorrow, and like by the end of tomorrow, I should be able to get that to people and hopefully save you a little money on your ticket.
Okay, cool. So you had an affiliate link or something like that. Did you want to share that tonight?
Not today, because I'd rather give people the 20% off if I can.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't know if the two were tied together there. Yeah. All right. So that'll be February 22nd, 2017 in LA. I will see you there. I'm excited to see you in real life. And Christian and I will be doing a show that Thursday. I'll be on location, I guess, from Summit Live for that show.
Christian, I'm looking at the speaker agenda. I mean, it looks like a fantastic lineup. I mean, I know a number of the people on this listed here.
Yeah, it's a good lineup. It's going to be fun this year. It was fun last year. It was fun last year.
Yeah.
Billy Ross, you need to get your speaker bio up on the speakers page.
Yeah. I think they're redoing the website. They're going to have a new website next week. So I assume they're going to add more speakers to it when they just in the process of doing the new one.
And by the way, they have a ton of speakers on here. I mean, like easily 40 speakers right here now. I mean, that's a lot. But
Mitch Jackson will be there. He'll be speaking about some cool stuff this year with law and VR and social media and law, and so it's going to be fun. It'll be good.
Awesome. Very cool. And Ross, by the way, so just a couple of, to wrap things up, like what, where can people find you?
So livestreamuniverse.com is the website. As far as my content goes, you can always usually get it first on Facebook, facebook.com/livestreamuniverse, or just go to rossbrand.live. We have live stream stars coming up on Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Jennifer Quinn from the Jenny Q Show is the guest on Monday night. And then Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm going to be doing updates. Those are pre-recorded, but you can find those as well on the Facebook page or at the website.
Very awesome. And, if people want to get in touch with you or connect with you, what's the best channel? Is it, is it Twitter? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook?
Yeah. If you're connected to me on Facebook, then the best channel is to just Facebook message me. If we're not connected, send me a tweet and we'll get connected.
Sounds good. And Ross, Ross is an awesome guy. I met him through Nick, and, he's always really personable and just a great person to connect with, whether to brain on something or, just to really help you out.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks for being,
Christian. Thanks for having me,
being
guys.
the first guest. Yeah. I really appreciate it. All right, guys.
So for just a couple of last two things real quick, for those of you who want to join next week's show, we've got a link here as well. And then if you want to get on the email newsletter, just go to socialchefs.com/subscribe, and that'll get you on our daily email, where we'll give you an update of the blog post that will go out tomorrow. And then we'll let you know what topics we're going to talk about next week.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Excellent.
This is fun.
This was good. Thank you, Ross, for being our first guest of 2017.
Thanks for having me. It's a blast.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.